You ever look at a city and think, how does all this actually work? I mean, it's fascinating, right? But so complex.
Oh, absolutely. Trying to get a real handle on the planning, the evolution.
Hmm.
It can feel, well, a bit much sometimes, like drinking from a fire hose, as you said.
Exactly. Okay, so let's unpack this because today we're doing a deep dive into a really interesting resource I found called UrbanWise.
Ah, UrbanWise. Right, that's the platform from Melike Şenkal.
That's the one. She's a senior urban planner, transport planner too. Really strong academic background, PhD in city and regional planning.
Yeah, and a master's in transport engineering, bachelor's in city planning. Quite the credentials.
For sure. And she's currently at the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure in Ankara, Turkey. So, she's right in the thick of it.
Which makes UrbanWise pretty compelling, doesn't it? It's not just theory. It's shaped by someone with deep practical understanding.
That's what we want to dig into. Our mission here isn't just to describe it, but to really pull out the core insights. Understand its purpose, the kind of knowledge it offers.
Especially, if you're listening and you're interested in urban planning or just how cities tick.
Right, and it seems to offer quite a bit. Articles, course materials for students.
Yeah, I saw that. Studio projects, lecture stuff, student resources.
And a blog, too, to keep things current. So let's start with the basics. The why. What's the fundamental drive behind UrbanWise?
Well, looking at their mission and vision, the core thing seems to be tackling that classic disconnect, between the academic side of urban planning.
Theory.
Exactly. Between the theory and the messy reality of actually doing it in cities.
Okay, so bridging that gap, taking ideas off the page and into the streets, sort of.
That's a good way to put it. Showing how these concepts, which can seem pretty abstract, actually translate into real changes in the places we live.
So it's practical, not just theoretical pondering. And the bigger picture, the vision, that sounds quite ambitious.
It is, yeah. The vision is really about creating cities that work better for everyone and for the planet.
How's
Well, the focus is strongly on inclusivity, making sure development benefits all residents. And sustainability, obviously designing for the long haul, minimizing environmental harm.
And resilience, too, I saw. Being able to handle future shocks.
Right, building cities that can adapt. It's aiming for urban environments where communities can really flourish, in a balanced way, not just survive.
That's a powerful goal.
Yeah.
So, okay, how does UrbanWise plan to actually do that? What's the mission in concrete terms?
The mission really centers on access, making urban planning knowledge more available. They call it democratizing it.
Democratizing knowledge. I like that.
Yeah, and inspiring action, providing clear science-based resources to empower lots of different people.
Not just the professionals.
No, exactly. Planners, yes, but also students, the next generation, policymakers making the big decisions, and importantly, just regular citizens who are curious about their city.
That makes sense. Empowering everyone who has a stake.
And there's also a clear commitment to supporting planner candidates, through those educational materials we mentioned. And really advocating for development that strikes that balance. Economic growth, sure, but not at the expense of social well-being or the environment.
Got it. So the why is clear. Bridge the gap, share the knowledge, inspire better cities. Now let's shift to the what. What kind of content, what specific topics are covered?
It's pretty broad, actually. The articles tackle key themes you'd expect: sustainable development, so how cities grow responsibly, transportation planning, always a big one, how people and goods move around.
Crucial.
And urban design, too, the actual physical shape and feel of our cities. The idea is always to deepen your understanding of the core principles behind how we manage and shape these places.
And for students specifically, you mentioned that portal. What's in there for someone studying this stuff?
Yeah, the student portal seems quite structured. You've got studio projects.
Which are like
Showcases, really. Innovative designs, concepts being worked on at different scales, gives them a peek into real-world planning.
Okay, practical examples.
Then lecture contents sounds like essential info to help them connect with their university courses better, make sense of the core material.
So supplementary learning.
Seems like it. And finally, student resources described as insights and tools to help them get ahead on upcoming lectures, kind of priming them, maybe?
Interesting. Sounds like a really solid support system if you're navigating an urban planning degree.
Definitely looks that way. And beyond that structured stuff, there's the blog you mentioned earlier that keeps it fresh, right?
Right. Keeping things current.
Exactly. The blog seems key for updates on the latest developments, industry trends, opportunities, making sure the knowledge stays relevant to what's happening now.
Okay, so we've covered the purpose, the content. Now let's zoom in on the who. Melike Şenkal herself. Her perspective must shape the whole platform.
Absolutely. Her About Me section really reinforces this. You get a real sense of her passion for urban innovation and a strong focus on community-centric solutions built around people's needs.
That community focus seems important.
Very. She actually says her motivation for UrbanWise was exactly that connection theory to practice, which, brings us back to the core mission.
It all ties together.
Yeah, and she emphasizes wanting to foster dialogue, share her insights, and give people actionable knowledge. It's not just passive information.
It definitely sounds like she wants to spark change, not just talk about it.
Yeah.
And having that background in both planning and transport must give her a unique viewpoint.
I think so. That blend is powerful. Her approach seems very research-driven, focused on shaping vibrant, functional spaces.
And she has publications listed too, which give us a clearer window into her specific interests.
Right. Those are worth looking at.
Okay, the first one mentioned, from 2021, Integration of Intelligent Transport Systems in the example of Denizli City Center to Urban Transportation System. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, academic titles for you.
So what's the gist? IS Intelligent Transport Systems.
Exactly. Using tech to make transport smoother, more efficient. This paper looks at how those systems can tackle specific problems in a city center.
Like traffic flow, public transport info, that kind of thing.
Precisely. The research notes that while, say, many European countries use ITS widely, Turkey is still integrating it. So, using Denizli as a case study, it proposes ways to build the needed infrastructure and use ITS to fix their specific transport issues.
So it's very practical, very localized.
Yes, and that's key. It highlights that you can't just drop in technology. You have to adapt it to the local context, the existing infrastructure, the societal needs.
Right, you can't just copy-paste solutions.
Exactly. It's about finding how to make it work there, considering the potential benefits, economic, social, environmental, that have been seen elsewhere, but tailoring the approach. It aims to be a model for other Turkish cities too.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, then there's the other publication from 2022, The Role of Social Conformity in Pedestrian Autonomous Vehicles Interaction. This sounds different, more behavioral.
It is, yeah. Super interesting topic. It dives into how we as pedestrians behave around autonomous vehicles, or AVs.
Okay, and social conformity.
Yeah, our tendency to kind of follow the crowd. If everyone else stops at the curb, you probably stop too, even if you haven't seen a car yet.
Ah, right. Herd mentality almost.
Sort of. Now imagine an AV rolls up. There's no driver to make eye contact with, none of those subtle human cues we rely on.
Yeah, that changes things.
Big time. So this research looks at how that lack of traditional communication, combined with our tendency to follow others, affects safety and interaction.
So how do we safely mix pedestrians and AVs if the old rules don't apply?
That's the question. Understanding this social conformity is crucial for designing AVs that pedestrians can actually, understand and predict.
Making their behavior legible in a way.
Exactly. Predictable, understandable behavior from the AV is key for safety, for trust, for successful integration into our streets.
Wow, that's cutting-edge stuff. It really shows the breadth, doesn't it? From established IS infrastructure to these emerging human-robot interaction questions.
It does. It bridges the established and the new, all under that urban planning umbrella.
Now, one other thing UrbanWise seems to stress is community. It's not just Melike Şenkal broadcasting information, right?
No, definitely not. They explicitly say it's more than a platform. It's meant to be a community.
How do they foster that?
Well, they actively encourage people to ask questions, share ideas, offer their own thoughts on where urban planning should go.
So interaction is built in.
Seems so. There's a clear contact option and a direct invitation to start conversations. It really pushes for that shared dialogue.
Which feels vital for a field that impacts everyone. Okay, so wrapping this up, it sounds like UrbanWise is a pretty significant resource. What are the main takeaways for you?
I think it really stands out as this insightful blend of theory and practice.
Yeah.
You get the academic depth, but it's grounded in real-world application, filtered through Melike Şenkal's expertise.
Right, that combination is key.
And its commitment to inclusivity, sustainability, and crucially, empowering people with knowledge. That makes it valuable for anyone interested in how our cities work and where they're headed.
So a thoughtful synthesis of knowledge, experience, and a desire for better cities, plus an open door for conversation. That sums up UrbanWise pretty well.
I'd say so.
Okay, final thought then. UrbanWise covers so much ground: intelligent transport, social dynamics with new tech like AVs, sustainability. If you had to pick one single aspect, what do you think will be the absolute most critical factor in shaping the cities of tomorrow? It's a big question, I know.
That is a big question.
Maybe something for you, the listener, to mull over too. And perhaps exploring UrbanWise further might help you find your own answer.